From a very high level, decorators are just ways to adding extra functionality to our existing functions or methods that allows us to invoke custom functionality either before or after or both the execution of the original function. So for example, we can have a function, I'm just going to call it hello, that is going to function as a decorator. A decorator is a function that accepts a function and returns a function. So this is the simplest decorator. From this point on, once we have a decorator, we could use the @ as a syntax, and then we could use the name of the decorator and just put it on top of any existing function or method. From this point on, our code would work as expected. So if we call this function, which all it's doing is printing that we're calling an external system, then it's returning some data, and then the main function or the main script is obtaining the return value and printing it over here. So if we run this function, we get what we expect, both of the prints, but we can do something more interesting. As you can see, this function that we receive in the decorator is actually this function. So it's the external system call. So what if we, instead of returning that function, return some other function? This new function could just print 2, and we can return this other function. So from this point on, if we call it, we're going to see that instead of invoking this logic, we're now returning this new function. So we're essentially replacing the function. But that's not very useful. So usually the way decorators are used is to provide extra functionality. So for example, we can call the original function like so, and we can pass any of the arguments or keyword arguments that are passed to the function. We can just forward them to the function. We get the return value, any return value the function may have, and then we just return it. So from this point on, we can run our script again, and we'll see what we expect. We're just defining a new function that basically just invokes the function and returns the value. So we can, from this point on, we can run code before execution, and we can run code after execution. So if we run it, we can see that we get our print. We're running code before this that gets executed within the original function, and then code after execution. So from this point on, that's the simplest use case of a decorator. Then we can do some more interesting things. For example, we could have perhaps a timed decorator where we want to know how long something is taking. So that could be as simple as like importing the time module or returning a new function, right? New function, let's say, let's grab everything that gets sent to the function, and let's just forward it to our function invocation. So we do all the keyword arguments, and return that value, and then we'll return the new function, and then we could grab the start time, which is just, let's just grab perfect counter, and then we could grab the end time, and this would just be the start timer minus another one of these. And then we could go ahead and print the amount of seconds. We could do something like this to make it more pretty, or time delta. Now we're actually going to print a time delta, which seconds equals to, this is running time, and let's just call it seconds equal to running time. So now if we use this decorator in our function, we can use it to see how long something is taking. So here we're running this file. So we're seeing that this call is taking, sorry, I messed up this. It's actually the new time minus the older time. So this function actually didn't take too long, and we can see that this is working. If we sleep for half a second, we'll see that we're actually getting this time back. So you can see that we're running some code before and after, and that's kind of the basics of a decorator. Take a look at this example. So in this case, we have a calculator class. We have a multiply method that just takes 2 parameters, returns the multiplication of both, and it's using the deprecated decorator. And if we take a look at this decorator, all it's doing is defining a new function. This function is being returned. The original function is being invoked, but the only difference is that we're issuing a warning here, and we're saying that we're printing out the name of the function. We're saying that it's deprecated, and we're saying please don't use it. So in our code, if we instantiate a calculator, run the multiply function, and then we print out the results, we'll see it worked. We got 12 back, but we're seeing a deprecation warning right here.